for the peace that you have released upon our nation, upon our Captain, King of Glory, and every leader gathered here to spearhead this function, Lord, to cause peace and tranquility over our nation. We welcome you, Lord, to take preeminence over this occasion, and forever Kenya will remain a beacon of hope, love, and even unity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
I request to take our seats. Allow me to now usher in the Deputy Chief of Staff, State Affairs, Honorable Josephat Nanok, to proceed with the state invocation. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Deputy President, the Speakers of both Houses of Parliament, Your Ladyship, the Chief Justice, the Honorable Attorney General, and all Cabinet Secretaries present, the Honorable Members of the National Assembly, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, Principal Secretaries present, the Chairperson and members of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, holders of dependent offices, and all chairpersons and members of the Constitutional Commission present, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, sir, this presidential audience has been convened for the presentation of the report of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights on the framework for compensation for reparations for victims of human rights violations, including those arising from demonstrations and public protests. This occasion reaffirms the state's role as a guarantor of the rights and freedoms, and this administration's commitment to open, transparent, and accountable government. This occasion further reflects our collective resolve to foster national healing and cohesion following the regrettable loss of life and life-altering injuries sustained by civilians and members of the security services during the exercise of the rights guaranteed under Article 37 of the Constitution. It is against this backdrop that on 6 March 2026, Your Excellency issued Presidential Proclamation number 1 of 2026, pursuant to Article 2542 of the Constitution. The proclamation was subsequently published as Kenya Gazette Notice number 3114. Through the proclamation, Your Excellency charged the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights with the responsibility of developing and submitting a framework to guide the provision of compensation and reparations to victims of human rights violations, including those arising from demonstrations and public protests. The Commission was further required to submit, publish, and publicize a report containing the framework within 60 days, in accordance with the Constitution and the applicable law. In discharge of this solemn responsibility, the Commission undertook extensive consultations and has now completed its assignment in accordance with the Constitution and statute law. Your Excellency, sir, with the Commission having discharged this high responsibility, permit me to invite the Chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights to highlight the key findings and recommendations of the report, and thereafter formally present the report to Your Excellency the President. Mrs. Clarice Oganga, welcome, Madam Chairperson.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. Kithure Kindiki, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Dorcas Oduor, the Chief Justice, and Chair of the Judicial Service Commission, Honorable Justice Koome, the Speakers of both Houses, the National Assembly and the Senate, Principal Secretaries, Chief Secretaries, and all protocols observed. Allow me to ride on the protocols as been set by Honorable Nanok. Your Excellency, today marks a historic and significant milestone in Kenya's continuing journey towards justice, accountability, and most importantly, today opens up a national conversation on the long overdue question of violations of human rights, but also the issue of reparations, including the matter of compensation for persons who have suffered violations. So today, Your Excellency, we gather here not to merely present a report, but to reaffirm the state's duty, obligation, and commitment to recognizing people who have suffered violations as a result of exercising rights, and to move towards providing meaningful remedies for the harm they have suffered, and to reflect and agree on the kind of country that we want Kenya to be. Your Excellency, from the onset, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights wishes to sincerely acknowledge Your Excellency for the decisive leadership and commitment demonstrated in initiating this very important and significant process of not just having a national reparations and compensation framework for victims of human rights violations, including victims of protests and demonstration, but the conversation around healing and reconciling the nation. Your Excellency, as a country, we cannot have a conversation about human rights, about reparations, about compensation, without honoring and recognizing the enduring and courageous role played by the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, whose consistent advocacy for the respect of human rights and reparations for victims of violations has significantly contributed to sustaining this important national conversation. He was very passionate about addressing human rights violations as a critical step in confronting the historical, socioeconomic, and political challenges that have continued to affect our beloved nation. So today's event, Your Excellency, is therefore the greatest tribute that we can have as a nation to honor the legacy of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and implementing the recommendations herein is a posthumous honor to his legacy. Your Excellency, your bold and deliberate decision to require this reparations framework demonstrates a profound understanding that the state's obligations to victims must be fulfilled through structured, principled, and time-bound action grounded in law, policy, and institutional commitment. This truly reflects our national moral obligation and profound need for justice, accountability, reconciliation, and national healing. It recognizes that sustainable peace cannot be built upon unaddressed grievances, and that genuine unity requires acknowledgement of past wrongs, restoration of dignity to victims, and a collective commitment to ensuring that such violations never recur. Your Excellency, the Commission accepted and embraced this responsibility with utmost humility, seriousness, unwavering resolve, and above all, a deep sense of national duty and commitment to justice. Your Excellency, this unprecedented national undertaking marks the first time in Kenya's history that the government has on its own initiative embarked on such a process, one that seeks to formally acknowledge that human rights violations occurred, and this landmark initiative signifies a clear commitment to move the nation from documenting to redressing, from acknowledgement to reform, and from recognition to accountability. Your Excellency, successive governments have received numerous reports documenting grave human rights violations, including the historic Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report. These reports recorded violations, identified victims, and set out clear and concrete recommendations, including the establishment of mechanisms for reparations. However, Your Excellency, most of these findings remain largely unimplemented, leaving victims to endure prolonged and burdensome pain, loss, and unaddressed injustice without remedy. The report that we will be presenting to you today, Your Excellency, captures stories from victims and reminds us that behind every statistic that we will be presenting today is a human being. is a family, is a community whose suffering sometimes remains unseen and unacknowledged. And by giving a voice to these experiences, the report contributes to a national process of healing founded on truth, recognition, and remembrance. Your Excellency, the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution presented a transformative commitment to human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Through the Bill of Rights, Kenyans are guaranteed freedoms of expression, association, assembly, and access to justice. However, despite these constitutional guarantees, violations sometimes continue to occur, particularly in the context of demonstrations, public protests, elections, and civic engagement. And this reality has underscored the need for a structure, effective reforms to bridge the gap between constitutional promises and lived experiences. Your Excellency, while the Constitution guarantees us rights, we must, as a matter of urgency, begin to have a national conversation on responsibilities as part of human rights. The conversation around responsibilities sometimes misses when we have conversations in the country. Responsibilities of the citizens as they exercise their rights and the responsibilities of the duty bearers as they carry out their duties. Responsibilities to ensure that our rights do not infringe on others and that exercise of rights does not lead to deaths, does not lead to injuries, does not lead to destruction of livelihoods, destruction of property, including public property, and which public property is expected to offer services to us as citizens. Your Excellency, we must now more than ever have a conversation on the cost of violent protests in Kenya. There is a significant cost on human lives, including deaths and injuries, and contribution to instability of the country. But violent protests also have significant short-term and long-term economic consequences for Kenya, affecting public finances, private sector growth, investment, employment, and overall economic stability. The impacts extend beyond the immediate destruction of property and often undermine development gains accumulated over the years. Your Excellency, violent protests lead to reduced economic growth. They disrupt business operations, transportation networks, and commercial activities. Businesses are forced to close temporarily, leading to reduced production, lower sales, declining tax revenues, and when protests occur repeatedly, economic growth slows as both domestic and foreign investors adopt a wait-and-see approach. For Kenya, where services including trade, tourism, and agriculture are major contributors to GDP, prolonged disruption can significantly reduce quarterly and annual economic growth. Your Excellency, violent protests leads to decline on foreign direct investment because investors consistently seek predictability, political stability, and security. And violent protests create perceptions of instability and increase investment risks. For a country such as Kenya, seeking to attract manufacturing, technology, and infrastructure investment, recurrent unrest significantly undermines competitiveness. Allow me, Your Excellency, to just give you an example of how we have incurred costs, especially in the 2025 protests. And going by the data from the Ministry of Interior, the protests that took place between June and July of 2025 has costed the country a whopping loss of about Kenya shillings 3 billion. And this is just 1 month's loss. Your Excellency, 3 billion can go a long way in meeting a lot of our national obligations. And as a country, we cannot afford to sustain consistent losses as a result of violent public protests. And as Kenyans, we must understand that these losses mean digging deeper into our pockets to recover these losses, and as such, it must be our shared responsibility to ensure that we exercise our rights responsibly. Your Excellency, allow me now to focus on the assignment that the Commission was given to undertake. and to note that in the development of this framework and the accompanying guidelines, the Commission was guided by international standards on reparations, particularly the basic principles and guidelines on the right to a remedy and reparation for victims of gross human rights violation under international human rights law, as adopted by the UN General Assembly in December of 2005. In this process, we as a country have demonstrated our ability to ensure adoption of the highest standards in implementing our human rights obligations, especially as a respected member of the United Nations. The Commission took into account and carefully drew lessons from prior national processes, particularly draft legislations, policies, and reparations processes that have already been proposed. And this includes the draft Kenya Reparations Bill of 2019, as well as policy and regulatory proposals presented to the Attorney General in 2029 by civil society organizations under the leadership of the Kenya Transitional Justice Network. Your Excellency, despite significant time constraint, this process was undertaken through extensive consultations, public participation, and technical engagements with various stakeholders, including victims, civil society organizations, constitutional commissions, independent officers, state agencies, and members of the public, all of whom enriched this process with invaluable perspectives and expertise. In compliance with Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya, the Commission subjected the draft guidelines to a robust public participation process and received a total of 281 submissions from members of the public in the form of memoranda, letters, proposals, and these have contributed significantly to the final framework that we submit today. So, Your Excellency, the framework presented today, therefore, proposes a raft of reparations, including compensation, rehabilitation, restitution, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition. And these are standard reparative justice measures used in transitional justice and human rights contexts to address human rights suffered by victims of violations. The framework, therefore, seeks to establish a victim-centered, transparent, and accountable system capable of delivering accessible and effective remedies in accordance with the Constitution and international human rights standards. Further, Your Excellency, the report the Commission is submitting today includes a list of victims who reported violations, including those arising in the context of demonstration and protests, in line with Your Excellency's proclamation. The report therefore captures cases documented by the Commission, cases from the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, and other cases received through various government institutions, including the Ministry of Interior, documented within the 60-day period. However, allow me to note, Your Excellency, that more cases have been documented subsequent to the finalization of this report involving individuals who equally qualify for inclusion in this list. The Commission therefore humbly requests that Your Excellency considers reparations for these cases in subsequent process, of course taking into account issues around budgeting processes. Your Excellency, the report that we shall shortly present to you documents and identifies cases of violations that were widespread or systemic in nature. Accordingly, the Commission documented violations arising in 2017 and 2022, which were largely linked to disputes and protests around the general elections. But we also documented protests from 2023 and 2024 protests, particularly during the Finance Bill and Gen Z protests. And we also documented victims from the 2025 Sabasaba demonstrations. And the Commission did this acknowledging that not all cases reported to the Commission qualify as gross human rights violations for reparations, as some were isolated criminal acts, including those committed by individual police officers and other citizens, which Your Excellency, we believe, should ideally go through the criminal justice processes. Your Excellency, in identifying victims, the Commission also acknowledged that Thank you. In identifying victims, the Commission also acknowledged that a number of human rights cases documented before this period had already been captured and included in the TJRC report. Your Excellency, the Commission therefore makes a general recommendation for the full implementation of that particular report. The Commission documented 1,815 claims and received another 1,022 from the Independent Policing Oversight Authority and others from the Ministry of Interior. And through this process, Your Excellency, the Commission has so far verified and obtained consent from a total of 1,101 victims across 6 categories of violations, which include deaths, that's the right to life, which has about 245 victims. We've documented issues around persons who were injured, about 135 victims. The majority of the victims were those who were arrested, who make up a total of 473 victims. But we've also documented cases of sexual violence, about 75 victims, and cases around the right to property, which is 138 victims. Your Excellency, while the report acknowledges and makes recommendations on various reparation components, the Commission wants to categorically state that compensation is just one of those components of reparations. And this is in acknowledgement that as a country, we sometimes have resource constraints, and the report highly recommends that priority be given to collective reparations, especially for regions and areas that have historically suffered from the effects of protests. A lot of these communities have also suffered economic marginalization, and communal reparations and social protection initiatives will go a long way in healing and reconciliation within these communities. The Commission also notes that collective reparations offers an important opportunity for healing fractured communities, rebuilding social cohesion, and restoring confidence in public institutions. Investments in community infrastructure, psychosocial support services, memorial sites, and community development initiatives can serve not only as remedies for past harms, but also as symbols of the national commitment to reconciliation and inclusive development. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Commission has made several recommendations in this report, including enactment of a reparations law, and this will require commitment from all arms of government as well as from the citizenry, and not just for its enactment, but also for its implementation. The Commission has also made a specific recommendation on the operationalizing Article 37 of the Constitution to provide a legislative framework for demonstrations, picketing, and assemblies. And allow me, Your Excellency, to say and to report that we've already put up a team to draft proposals on this particular article. And we believe that it will ensure that this right is exercised responsibly. And Your Excellency, we hope to make very radical proposals in the proposed framework, including using technology to support the exercising of this right. And Your Excellency, we acknowledge that you're big on technology, and we believe that this is the right time to leverage on technology to help citizens who want to demonstrate peacefully to do so, and to also assist law enforcers to identify criminals who disrupt such demonstrations, but also police who sometimes use unnecessary force during assemblies. Thank you. Your Excellency, because of the magnitude of this process and the recommendations made, the Commission notes that implementation of compensations and reparations must involve all stakeholders. Your Excellency, I have the floor today to speak to you, so allow me to take this opportunity to briefly address the challenges faced by the Commission, which has historically received limited budgetary allocation to undertake its constitutional mandate. Your Excellency, yet the Commission plays a very critical role in ensuring that our country complies with its national, regional, and international human rights obligations. Globally, both multilateral and bilateral partners increasingly require that technical support, arrangements, and agreements, including those relating to trade, health, defense, be implemented through a human rights-based approach. This means that the Commission must support government agencies in integrating human rights standards into these processes. Your Excellency, our humble appeal as a constitutional commission is for the government to allocate adequate and sustainable funding to enable the Commission to continue to effectively discharge its mandate and fulfill its constitutional obligations. The Commission has continued to put Kenya on the global map by maintaining its A status as a national human rights institution, and your support, Your Excellency, will elevate the profile of Kenya as a country that is committed to strengthening and creating strong institutions as a cornerstone for democracy. The Commission remains committed to supporting the implementation of these recommendations and to continuously monitor the enforcement of the recommendations herein and to keep Your Excellency updated on progress of the implementation. Your Excellency, allow me to once again, on behalf of the Commission, staff of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and most importantly, on behalf of the victims for whose voices informed this process, to sincerely thank you for this historic initiative that will shape the future of our nation. Kenya has taken an important step towards healing historical wounds, strengthening national unity, and building a society founded on justice, human dignity, accountability, and respect for human rights. The true measure of this process will not be only in the submission of this report, but in the subsequent processes towards ensuring lives are restored, trust is rebuilt, and hope renewed among Kenyans. And our prayer today, Your Excellency, is that this initiative will stand as a lasting testament that Kenya values every life, every voice, every citizen, and that collectively we can journey towards a more just, united, and reconciled nation. And at this stage, Your Excellency, it is my pleasure as the chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights to formally present this report, the reparations guidelines, the list of victims, and the proposed legislation on reparations today for your consideration and action as the beginning of a new chapter in which Kenya moves towards a structured, credible, sustainable process of addressing human rights violations, rebuilding public trust in institutions, promoting reconciliation amongst communities, and laying the foundation for lasting national healing. Thank you very much for this opportunity to serve the nation, and we pray that God continues to bless all of us and to bless our country, Kenya. Thank you very much.
We'll now invite His Excellency to receive the report. The first frame will be His Excellency to receive the report from the Chair. I'll request that the rest of us remain seated. We have cameras at the back, so we'd like to get every frame. So the first frame will be His Excellency receiving the report. Makofi tafadhali. Allow me, with your permission, Your Excellency, to also invite the following for the second frame. His Excellency, the Deputy President, the Honorable Chief Justice, Majority Leader, National Assembly, Minority Leader, National Assembly, the Honorable Attorney General, CS Interior, Chair JLAC, Chairperson COJ, and Chair of the Panel of Experts on Compensation, to also receive the report. Let's also have the two speakers, Speaker of the National Assembly and Speaker of the Senate. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'll now usher in or invite the Deputy Chief of Staff, State Affairs, Honorable Josephat Nanok, to continue with the program.
Your Excellency, sir, permit me now to invite Professor Makau Mutua, the chairperson of the panel of experts on compensation, to make a few remarks.
Good morning. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellency, Professor Kithure Kindiki, the Deputy President, the Honorable Martha Koome, the Chief Justice, the Speakers of the two Houses, Mr. Kingi and Mr. Wetangula, the Majority Leader, Mr. Kimani Ichung'wah, the Minority Leader, Mr. Junet Mohammed, Dr. Oburu Oginga, Minister Murkomen, the AG Dorcas Oduor. Allow me to ride on the protocols that have been established before me. Your Excellency, Mr. President, today you have received from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights the report and draft guidelines that you required the Commission to prepare. Your Excellency, this ceremony is not a formality. It is, with respect, the keeping of a sacred and constitutional promise, your own promise to look into the welfare of those Kenyans who are afflicted. Permit me, Your Excellency, to recall briefly how we got here. The Constitution at Article 132 enjoins the President to ensure the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms and the upholding of the rule of law. It further empowers the President under Article 254(2) to require a commission or independent office to submit a report on any particular issue within its mandate. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Your Excellency, is established under Article 59 of our Constitution as the principal organ of the state that is responsible for ensuring compliance with our obligations under international human rights treaties. Under Section 8 of the Commission's Human Rights Act, the Commission is empowered to investigate matters of human rights, to make recommendations for the better functioning of state organs, and to take steps to secure appropriate redress where human rights have been abridged. Your Excellency, it was in the exercise of these powers that by presidential proclamation you required the Commission to develop and submit a framework to guide the provision of compensation and reparations to victims of violations of human rights, including those arising from demonstrations and public protests. Your Excellency, having discharged that mandate, the Commission on the 8th of May this year submitted its report to the head of the Public Service for transmission to Your Excellency. Your Excellency, it is that report for which this assembly is convened today at State House, solemnly to hand over to you that report. Your Excellency is constitutionally charged with a solemn obligation to ensure that the human rights of all Kenyans are protected. Your Excellency, that duty is not abstract. It is owed to every Kenyan who exercises the rights guaranteed under the Constitution, including the rights under Article 37 to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to petition. Your Excellency, this is the Constitution working exactly as it was designed. Your Excellency did not direct the Commission as to what its conclusions were going to be. Nor did Your Excellency supervise their judgment. You exercised a power the Constitution gives you under Article 254(2) to require a report, and the Commission has done so. The Office of the President and an independent commission have each played their distinct part in mutual respect toward a common public good. That is the relationship the Constitution envisions between the executive and the independent commissions. Not subordination, not direction, but complementarity. This handover, therefore, is itself an act of democratic governance. It is proof that constitutional institutions, when they hold to their respective mandates, can together deliver justice to citizens. And in receiving this report, Your Excellency, you are performing your human rights obligations in the most concrete way that our Constitution envisions, turning the duty to protect into a practical pathway to redress, to reconcile, and to heal the nation. Your Excellency, on March the 6th this year, you appointed the panel of experts on compensation of victims of human rights violations, including from demonstrations and public protests, through Gazette Notice 3115, and instructed us to compensate victims of human rights violations by the reparations framework that the Commission has presented to you. Your Excellency, the panel charged with the implementation is required by its establishing instrument to discharge its mandate in a transparent, accountable, and auditable manner. The Commission's reparations guidelines, the framework developed by the Commission, which directs the panel is to undertake the compensation exercise, provide for mandatory verification of the eligibility of every single claimant. In discharge of its mandate, the panel has developed a case management system and procedures that ensure that each and every claim is verified and a determination of eligibility made before any recommendation for reparations is made. The system that we have developed, Your Excellency, stores in an easily searchable manner all the evidence relied on for each single victim, the panel's decision in relation to the medical evidence, and the medical recommendation made to it by the medical professionals working with the panel. and finally, the panel's decisions on quantum. The system also logs and records the entire payment process. Your Excellency, this system is the panel's way of ensuring the integrity of the compensation process and of guaranteeing that the process can be fully audited. Under it, independent auditors will have the ability to follow up and to verify every coin that has been spent. We have, Your Excellency, created a system for the ages, if I may say so, a system that will be in use for many years to come. Your Excellency, to date, my panel has received the names of approximately 1,100 victims from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and a further 1,200 from the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, with some overlap between the two lists. The panel has also received over 200 names of victims from the security agencies, the National Police Service, the Prison Service, and the National Youth Service. And in addition, we have also received over 160 names of persons whose businesses were damaged and who suffered economic loss. The panel, Your Excellency, is now subjecting all of these names to verification, assisted by its AI integrated case management system, and will be in a position, Your Excellency, to begin making payments in as short a time as a week from today. To the victims and to the families who have suffered grief, loss, and injury, I say this. This report is an acknowledgement that your suffering has been seen, and that the state accepts its duty to repair. This report is one step towards national atonement. We will proceed, Your Excellency, in accordance with the law and the Constitution and the directions of the court, because justice that is delivered lawfully is justice that endures. Your Excellency, let me just say, as I conclude, that your partner in this exercise, who initially you thought of this project with, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, is not here with us today. I know, Your Excellency, you carry his dreams and ambitions on this project in your heart. And Your Excellency, let me say that there is no better way to honor the late Honorable Raila Odinga than to repair our people, than to walk the last mile of this journey, to turn a new leaf in our human rights culture. Your Excellency, previous governments have known that we have a problem with the question of the exercise of expressive rights. Lives have been lost, Your Excellency, but previous governments did not take the step that we have taken. Your Excellency, we honor you for this bold step. And I want to say, Your Excellency, the clarion call for this exercise must be never again. No more shall the lives of our people be lost as they exercise their democratic rights. Never again, Your Excellency. Nunca más in Spanish. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, allow me also to invite a few other leaders to make remarks. The Honorable Junaid Mohammed, Minority Leader of the National Assembly.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, His Excellency, the Deputy President, my leader in Parliament and my boss, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the Senate, my party leader, Dr. Oburu Oginga, and my friend, the Chair of the Council of Governors, Hamjambo. Good morning. Your Excellency, I am very happy and proud to be here today for this event because, Your Excellency, as you are aware, in the history of this country, I don't think there is any party, political party, that has faced the brunt of human rights violations than my party, ODM. Your Excellency, I come from a party that has faced the brunt of injustice and human rights violations, and I also come from a region that has also faced the brunt of human rights violations, Your Excellency. I'm now an old man, but I've spent the lower part of my life demonstrating, Your Excellency. We have been demonstrating from when I joined the demonstration was in 2003. 2002, I was 24 years old. Then I found you on the way in 2007. Then you detoured, you left us there, still continuing demonstrating. Then we continued with the demonstration in 2013. We continued in 2017. One of the incidents, Your Excellency, that I cannot forget is after the elections of 2017. I went to receive my late party leader at the airport. He was coming back from overseas trip. And Your Excellency, we were in a convoy. That time, even the Speaker was part of, before he detoured also, was part of that journey. So, Your Excellency, when we left the airport, and we were doing a peaceful demonstration, as we said, and we came from the airport, we came through Mombasa Road, then we joined Likoni Road. Between Likoni Road Junction and Landis Road, Lusaka Road, Your Excellency, risasi ililia. We lost 17 people there on the spot, Your Excellency. There are pictures. I remember I went with my former party leader to the city mortuary one time, Your Excellency, and those photos are there. I have them in my records. And we had 40 coffins in one day, Your Excellency, sending them to where I come from, that part of the country. So, Your Excellency, I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, because these problems have been there in the previous governments, but no one had the courage to accept that we need to address these issues of human rights violations, other than yourself, Your Excellency. I was privy and part of discussions between you and my former party leader on this issue, Your Excellency. There was the report of the NATCO that was presented to you. There was the report of the 10-point agenda. Many people never believed that those reports will be implemented. But today we are here implementing the NATCO report and implementing the 10-point agenda. When my party leader came to see you about this matter, Your Excellency, you never hesitated. I was present, I must say. You said, this is one issue that we must address as a country, and I will be on the forefront to make sure that it is implemented. And I am sure where he is today, because I know how close this matter was to his heart. I know wherever he is, Your Excellency, he is very happy. But what pains me also politically, Your Excellency, is the people who perpetuated these evil, things are today the reformists of the country. They are the defenders of human rights. That is what pains me also. You see, people who we lost Pendo in their hands are today the defenders of human rights in our country, and they want us to listen to them. So let's give Kenyans a break. Let's be honest with Kenyans. And let's accept our sins. I know whom we used to complain about when I was in the street. And today is the same person who's telling me, I'm reforming this country, I want to win this election and defeat this government so that I can reform this country, I'm a human rights defender, and we know each other. We have been around for some time now. That is why we look as a party this time more intelligent than we used to be. Tumesoma watu. So Your Excellency, when this matter came up and you graciously accepted that we need to implement the 10-point agenda, many people did not believe. I know even some of the people now who are shouting to my party outside there never believed that the 10-point agenda will be implemented. They thought with the death of my party leader, that will be the end of the 10-point agenda. But today we are here. And I'm happy when this issue came up from our party, Your Excellency. You know, we have donated many experts to you as a party. My party leader identified the professor from upstate New York, Harvard trained, to spearhead this matter on our behalf as a party. And you could see the English, Your Excellency, I'm speaking, and the one he spoke. Excellency. So and then also, I am very happy that the Kenya National Human Rights is led by someone, Your Excellency, whom I have been demonstrating in Migori with her mother, her brother, her sister. She was working for the United Nations, but I was demonstrating with her mother in the town. So I'm happy now she knows what her mother has gone through. And I'm happy that she's the one now implementing. I am very excited about that also. So with those few remarks, Your Excellency, I want to thank you so much. We will support as Parliament any efforts that will make the next demonstrations to be peaceful, to be within the law and within the Constitution. We will support as leaders, as party, and as Parliament, Your Excellency, because I will support demonstrations peacefully, because I don't want to lose demonstrations as ODM going forward. Even in the next 50 years, I want to still keep it. But I want it now to become more peaceful, more law orderly, and more constitutional. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, sir, allow me also to invite Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, the Majority Leader of the National Assembly, who was co-chair of the de facto National Dialogue Committee.
Thank you, Nonok. Your Excellency, the President, the Deputy President, the Chief Justice, the Party Leader, ODM, and observing all protocols already established. Allow me, Your Excellency, also to congratulate you and the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, led by the Chairperson, Clarice Oganga, for the very splendid job that they have done in putting together this framework for the reparation of victims of our past injustices. Your Excellency, I remember way back in 2023, when yourself and the late former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, appointed us, 10 of us, to lead in the deliberations through the National Dialogue Committee. This and the question of the cost of living was one of the most sticking points that we took a lot of time and listened to very many Kenyans on. And I recall, Your Excellency, when we finalized the report and we made our way to Capitol Hill to present the copy of the NADCO report to the former Prime Minister. He took not less than 10 minutes speaking on this issue. And having appreciated the work that we had gone through and the issues that were raised in the NADCO report, I remember the former Prime Minister telling us, those of us who were in that room, in his boardroom at Capitol Hill, that the call for reparation